Hello everyone, welcome back to another GIS lecture video. And in this lecture video I want to continue our discussion on visual variables by jumping to the visual variable orientation. Orientation. So put simply, what orientation does is orientation deals with the direction the symbol is facing. Right, the direction the symbol is facing. Now, this has one prerequisite. The prerequisite is that the symbol used and we'll talk for a second about shape, right, has a visible orientation. Right, so therefore things like a true circle are not going to work well here. Squares work okay, but something like an arrow works best. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use arrows for points. So let's talk about how we would use the orientation to show direction in points. So let's say we have 3 different points and we want to represent them with orientation, right? So we could have one pointing straight up, right? One pointing left, maybe one pointing down, right? And if we wanted to encapsulate them in a circle like this, we could, right? But it's very clear because they would actually have this symbology of the arrow. Or, for example, we could use something like a square. So if we did use a square, right, it would look something like this. I'm going to do my best to try to draw this here. Right, that we've rotated. I'm not the best artist, but we've rotated it, right? That's why I say trying to pick something that has a really good orientation helps immensely for points. For lines, right, what we can do, right, lines have direction, so we can't just change the direction of the line. What we can do is we can change the direction of the hash marks, right? So we could have something like this, right? And maybe one of them is going to be vertically, so it would look like this. Right, maybe one of them might be sort of at an angle, something like that. Right. Now, for polygons, this actually does work. Arguably, it works best for polygons, because with polygons, all we have to do, right, if we think back to having a pattern inside of a polygon, actually here, let me make the outline in red so that we can differentiate between the outline So what we could do for this is maybe we have one where the lines are vertical, or horizontal, I should say. Maybe we have one where the lines are diagonal, and then we have one where the lines are vertical, something like that. All right. So when is orientation most useful? Well, here's the thing with orientation. If you're doing it right, you are not changing the spacing or the size, right? You're keeping everything the same, you're just rotating the symbology. So in that case, right, orientation is not going to have the issue that we saw with spacing in the sense that it's not going to imply density. As long as you're not changing the size of the symbols, you're just rotating them, right? You're not going to imply that idea that larger is more important. So orientation is actually great for nominal data, right? Because if you do it correctly, there is no implied ranking. Now, there is a caveat to orientation that I think is important. In addition to having the symbol be forced to have an orientation, you can have data that has directionality. So orientation is awesome, is the best choice. Right? If data is truly directional. Right? And what I mean by that is not like a line, but say for example, you have something like the predominant direction of wind, right? Measured as angles within say a weather station, a point-based weather station measures the direction of wind flowing across that weather station, right? You could represent that as a point using orientation to show the direction, right? So if for some reason you have something that is truly directional, orientation is amazing. Otherwise, trying to pick a symbol that has an orientation and using it best for nominal data. So let's go ahead and scroll back up. For qualitative, we have orientation. And obviously not for quantitative because we have no way of implying any sort of ranking or ordering or difference between them. So hopefully orientation makes sense. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.